Hello everybody, Reggie Time here, and I'm bringing a very special hand review today to you guys with Sky Poker streamer Craigcu. He is a gentleman who is on the autistic spectrum, so just putting himself out there and streaming poker is a truly marvellous thing. As some of you guys will know, I do work with some younger people and some adults on the autistic spectrum, and I'm all too aware of the challenges that presents them on a day-to-day basis. So the fact that somebody with the condition has the confidence and the courage not only to play poker for real money, but also to then go out there and put themselves out there streaming for people, when quite often the poker community can be quite a toxic and sometimes trolly kind of environment. I think is absolutely amazing. I think Craig is a very good player. He plays a very different style to me. He is very into trying to develop and play a GTO style, which is absolutely not my style. So I'm really looking forward to reviewing those hands with him. There might be some colourful language in the video, so if you're not a big fan of hearing C-bombs drop left and right, because I do it a lot, and I know Craig likes to do it a lot, then maybe this video won't be for you, but hopefully you guys will show this video an awful lot of love. Hit the thumbs up, hit us with some really positive comments, because I always appreciate positive comments, and I can only imagine how fantastic it will be for Craig to see some positive comments about how well he does to get himself out there in a pretty wild and aggressive community and show people what he's capable of. So Craig's going to join us in just a moment. We've got around 12 hands to review, I think, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it. But please do hit the thumbs up, because I think it would be really nice for Craig especially to see really good feedback to a video where maybe he's been taken out of his comfort zone a little bit. So please do, if you've never hit the thumbs up before when I've asked, please do hit the thumbs up this time, because I am probably guessing it would mean an awful lot to Craig, and it would certainly mean an awful lot to me. So thanks for that. Craig will be along in just a moment. Right, Craig, so this first hand, we are King in the big blind, just making sure we're recording. We are, so we'll minimize that. King in the big blind. We've got a raise under the gun.
Share your screen, Reggie, so I can see it.
Oh, that's a fucking great idea, Craig. If I did that, that would be absolutely phenomenal. And I wanted to save this hand to the end. So what we'll do, I'm going to pause the video again and get my fucking ass into gear. So let's try again now with the hands in the right order. They were back to front. These are all chronological now. So there may be some hands early on where we take a line against someone that we maybe take a different line later if we had a bigger sample size. So anyways, this time we have ace king off under the gun. First of all, Craig, someone just asked me on Facebook, I min raise every position since I've returned to playing speed poker, and my reasons for doing that are, first of all, it's cheaper with the parts of my range that are raised folding. Secondly, it's cheaper to defend versus 3-bets the types of hand that need to defend versus a 3-bet. And thirdly, it's because it forces the blinds to play more hands that they wouldn't ordinarily play versus a larger raise, which gives us a big advantage. And the last reason is I prefer playing with deeper SPRs post flop. So I'd rather min raise and have like the largest SPR possible post flop. What's your thoughts on min raising pre flop in micro stakes cash?
No, you shouldn't, Reggie.
Okay.
I mean, for starters, one thing, if this is proper micro stakes and stuff and I'm not doing it, you should play a mixed game. If you've got a premium hand like pocket aces, something like that, just raise 3x or 4x with that, because they won't give you a range. And
so you should think just like, so if you've got a weak hand, raise small. If you've got a big hand, raise big. You don't think people are cutting on to that?
That's what it is. And yes, so because if they're not going to give you a range, they won't know, oh, you've got aces all the time.
Yeah, and this is the thing I have when I watch you stream, Craig, and as I already talked about you with, fucking love your stream. I sometimes think you maybe don't quite give some of your opponents enough credit for being all right. Now, you're right. Lots and lots of players, especially on Sky, are not very good. But I think if you have like a different raise size pre-flop, that pretty much defines your hand strength. Yeah, you're right. Lots of players won't cotton on and they'll just play the hands they want to play. But good regulars will cotton on and they'll just pull your pants down, I think.
Well,
I mean, if
that's
I
it.
was playing against you and I had 3 different raise sizes, I'd expect you to notice pretty damn quickly and exploit the shit out of me for it.
That's exactly how it is. And I mean, when I'm playing these high roller events next week, or when them youth clubs start, I'll be much more GTO and stuff and fully finger out my entire ranges against them.
Right, so if you're playing like a high roller, you'll like use the same sizes all the time. But if you're playing a 550 bounty hunter, you will use your exploitable pre-flop sizings. Is that what you're saying? So like the weaker the field, the more likely you are to like just adjust your range sizes depending on your hand strength. See,
Yeah.
But so when you're playing in games like this, then for example, like these games, there's not many. None of the players are good, but there's not many super loose players. So I don't think necessarily that you want to have different raise sizes because enough of them might cotton on. Now you're saying that you don't think they will, and that's a perfectly valid opinion.
If you want, if it's just maybe if you know there's a big fish that's something in the big blind or something like that, then definitely do it. But look at the stats of these guys. You could do it. But I'd still go 2.5x or 2.3x for outer version. And when you're in the big blind, Reggie, you should go 3x because I've got data and stuff like that of all the different race sizes used. And my win rate when I'm in the small blind is always at its best when I go 3 big blinds open race.
Yeah, when I'm opening small to big, I always go 3. I don't min raise small to big.
Yeah.
I make it 3x there. And you're also right. If this hand, just say that the big blind wasn't this 26-24 guy, say he was at 60/10, then I would absolutely be 4xing or 3xing into his blind. This is just my standard open size. And I have, on my Hold'em manager, I like just put a colour on the player so they stand out at the table. Because when you tag players on 888, they put a shitty little fucking mark on them, don't they, that you sometimes miss. Whereas when you tag them in Hold'em Manager, the whole box goes luminous fucking green. So if I see the luminous green at the table, it immediately alerts me to, right, there's a fish at this table. And that is when I will adjust my sizing. But I will then do it with my entire range. I wouldn't just like 4x ace king and 3x jack 10 suited and min race pocket fours. I would just 4x with my entire size of the fish in the blinds because I'm happy playing much bigger pots against people who are going to defend wider ranges with regardless of bet sizes. So I agree with you. We should vary our sizes when there's fish in pots, but I think in general, in these relatively nitty speed poker pools, I'm not sure it's such a good idea because there'll be enough guys paying attention. Because that's what I see. If I like see a player that like uses the size quite consistently, and then that changes, bang, to something else, straight away I'm like, right, I'm going to mark this hand because I want to go and find that player in my database, and then I'll just do work on them. You know, if they're usually min raising, I'll just look at all the hands they raised pre-flop, and then I'll try and find the hands where they deviated from min raise that went to showdown to see what types of hands they're doing it with. And the minute you see someone who goes min raise, then 3x or 4x with aces, you've just got a really good note on them, and you can, you know, they become really exploitable no matter how good their pre-flop stats might be. They become really exploitable, which is why I don't like to do it, because I'm assuming if I did, other half-decent regs would notice. You're right, the fish wouldn't, especially in speed poker pools where quite often people will have like auto-folded and left the table before you've even made your action. But still, I just like to be a little bit consistent. I don't like to do anything that I think could be an easy tell for people to pick up on, which is why I don't do it. But you do make a good point. With good hands, we maybe should raise stronger, especially when you're fishing the pot. So I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm not agreeing we should do it all the time. Anyways, we move on. We have ace king. We've been 3-bet by someone we know nothing about. It's just 29-14, 7 hands. It's irrelevant. There's no point reading anything to that. So, are we calling or 4-betting? And if 4-betting, what is your size here versus a 6 big blind 3-bet?
Well, see, you know, if I'm on this sort of situation here, and this is seed, I think this is king. I might just call it. Something tells me Alvida is going to be much tighter than he would be on a standard cash because most people, even some of the weaker free bets you see on standard cash, they'll just snap fold in that spot.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this here is really close. I wouldn't four bet it. No way.
Yeah, ranges are definitely tighter in these games because, like you say, when you're playing a regular table session, you have to play every hand from every position. You can't just snap fold out of position to get on with the next hand, because I know that's something I do when I play much looser at regular tables and speed poker, because I'm forced to wait for my cutoff to open. I'm forced to wait for the button. Like if I'm playing a regular table, my button range probably has a decent amount of more hands in it, because at a speed poker table, say I've got, I don't know, fucking 10-8 offsuit or something like that, or 10-6 suited. I won't wait for the button in a speed poker game to just try and steal the blind with 10-6 suited. I'd rather just fast fold, get onto the next hand and get more volume. Whereas on a regular table, you've got to wait. So I'm way more likely to raise something weaker from the button. So I totally understand that. People are just going to have much tighter ranges in all positions because they can just speed fold the bottom of the range more, all of the time. So I agree with that. So you think it's going to be strong here?
I think in this spot, we could call or fold, but I'd just call it. I think.
Or fold? You think we could fold here sometimes?
Could fold it sometimes.
Wow, that'll go down well with the chat.
I mean, ace king suited, I'd never fold. But the offsuit, I'd fold it sometimes, unless you think he is going to start doing me. Because as you say, what you think is, if you see the flop and you've missed, you're not really in good shape and stuff.
No, but we have a very strong. If we play this, if we four bet here, even if we miss the flop, we have a pretty easy c bet most of the time, because our range is going to be incredibly narrow, and even on that the wet boards that completely miss us.
Before four betting Reggie.
Of course, yeah.
Is he going to four bet maybe an ace queen?
No, well, he can't four bet, can he? We're going to be the ones doing the four betting.
Yeah.
Then it's like, what does his middle position defending range look like versus our four bets?
Three bet, Reggie. Would he three bet ace queen or ace jack?
Well, we just don't know, Craig, do we? We've got 7 hands, mate. We haven't got a bloody clue, mate. It's so early.
That's it. So you can call it for, but I wouldn't four bet, not on this because people are going to be tighter than they should be generally.
Well, I did four bet, and I was wondering if you were going to four bet, what do you think of that sizing? I know it's very big.
I don't like it.
You don't like it. I'll explain my thoughts for it, then you tell me why you don't like it, buddy. My reasoning is, we're out of position, we're representing a pretty strong hand, and I think his 3-bet's too small. I know it's 3x my open, but generally speaking, it's too small. And I typically like to make my 4-bets anything from 21 to 25 big blinds. That's usually where I'm at. No matter what size my opponent's made, I rarely like to 4-bet more than 25% of a stack, or 25% of the effective stack. So I've kind of ignored his sizing and just thought, right, whatever, mate, you've done what you've done. I like to make it between 20 to 25 bigs. So that's what I've done. I didn't want to make this like, say, 17 to 19 bigs, because I think he's going to call a lot more hands versus that I'd rather he didn't call. Say he's got, say, a 10-9 suited here. I'd much rather he folded that hand than had an opportunity to make a cheap enough call and then play versus me in position.
But Reggie, this is a thing, mate. You see, you've saying that, you've making it this big size. If he then calls and you miss the flop, are you going to give up?
No, I'm going to probably see bet close to 100%. Reggie. Okay?
You've said it there. You've raised, and you want him to fold, say, 10-9 suited.
Yep.
Bang. You've made his range much more narrow pre-flop. And therefore, now, it's going to be much harder for you to c-bet and stuff like that. So what I'd be doing is raising it to maybe just £1.50 or something, $1.50. He's going to call really wide that way because he has to. Otherwise, you're going to be making lots of money from him overfolding.
Yep, I wouldn't disagree with that, mate. The downside to that is I don't think we ever get any folds pre-flop if we make it that small. And I don't know if you've studied much of Matthew Jander, but I'm on board with him on this. Is a lot of the time, even when we're 3-betting and 4-betting, we want folds most of the time. We're not playing for. I mean, we want action with our aces, our kings, and maybe our queens. But when I'm 3-betting and 4-betting ace king, I'm more than happy to see folds. I'm not looking for tons of action with these hands. If I get it, fine. I've got a decent enough hand to go to war with.
The
But
thing is,
I'm hoping he folds here and we just pick up the pot
Reggie,
uncontested. Yes, mate.
the thing is, Reggie, what you then have to do is you've then got to make a plan of basically how you play flop. Somebody can say, okay, yeah, we want to raise that so he can fold. But then, if you're saying that, and now he knows he's got premium pairs like aces, kings, queens, something like that. He won't have that, but just imagine he did. Right, now, what you do is you bet again on the flop. And you're basically losing cash, you see.
Yeah, you're right. Because I'm gonna. If he calls here, there'll be like nearly $5 in the pot, and I would probably bet something like, well, certainly less than $2 on most flops. You know, because my hand is just so full of aces and kings, I'm probably going to see bet close to 100% of flops. I'm probably going to use a quarter pot, maybe even fifth pot sizing to do it. That would be my strategy here. And if we get action, then I'm probably going to shut down and be done with it. So that would be my generic line in this situation.
You see, Reggie, you've got to always think about what your opponent's ranges are and that. And
yeah, that's the problem, Craig. We don't know when we've got 700 or somebody, do we?
If you 3-bet small here, add 3-bet £1.50,
yep.
He would therefore need to call a much wider range.
But does he have a wide range to begin with, Craig? That's my.
But he has to call more, Reggie, than what he would do with £2.30.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And otherwise, you are printing money if he's going to defend the same range. So what that means is then on the flop, his range is much wider, and that allows you to c-bet flop. And because again, he will have to fold. He'll have more hands, which are going to be auto folds and stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that. And Craig, just 1 second, mate. I'm getting some feedback. Have you done something with your audio? Because I can hear that's better. It stopped again now. Wherever it was. I couldn't hear me. I can't hear myself back anymore. So I think we've done that bit to death. Let's see what happens. He calls. Then we get this flop.
And you see, Reggie, bang.
And
honestly.
So as played, I know you wouldn't get to this. I know you wouldn't be in this spot personally, but imagine you were. Are you now c-betting this board?
Never.
Never. Wow.
Yeah. Why? You've got to think, basically, Reggie. You've made it that big size, you see, free. He's probably folded ace queen, ace jack, ace 10, and all of that. And on a micro stakes board like this, he will probably have all the overpairs and stuff like that. Well, pocket 8s, pocket 9s, pocket 10. He'll see that as an overpair, and he'll say to you, "Oh, you can have an ace king." So he'll just call them and stuff.
No, so I understand. Yeah, of course I see. But I think given we're just going to primarily, well, not saying we, but I know me personally, when I take this line, ace king's the absolute bottom of my range here for taking this line. I wouldn't be for betting ace queen or anything like that.
Yeah.
Maybe once in a while I'd throw like a suited wheel ace in there, like an ace 5 suited or something. But I just think my range is just so strong here. I think we have an auto c-bet, so let's see what I do. I did c-bet like 1/3 pot. So if you are going to c-bet here, I'm presuming you are going, I know you're not going to, but small would be the way to go, wouldn't it?
25%.
25,
yeah. You should do.
Yeah, I've gone about.
You should always go really small, 25%.
Yeah, I've gone less than 33 at least.
If, as it is, he will call more and you'll be able to barrel more on the turn.
Yeah, I
agree.
When
you're making it this big, basically, you're going to have this pot to stack ratio whereby you'll just be calling the turn. And yeah, he's raising and stuff like that. Small. And I mean, you've got to call it. You've got far too good odds to fold this now.
Yeah, but you're not going to like what I do, Craig. Because when I saw this raise, to me, this should not be a fucking thing in a 4-bet pot. There should be absolutely no raising from him in this spot. He shouldn't be raising pocket 8s, pocket 9s, pocket 10s. So I just saw this raise and thought, this is absolute pure bullshit.
I know.
And I can remember this hand now. I did that because I just think it's bullshit, Craig. And if he's raising a small, you just what? Sorry.
If I'm going, I just call it. and then I'd realise my equity and
Nah,
stuff.
but you won't though, Craig, because you'll miss the turn and you'll check fold a lot. That's the problem. And I didn't want to check fold. I didn't want to call and check fold turns because A, I think we might still have the best hand. B,
Well,
I think he might
this
just
is
be
you
setting
saying
up to
that,
try
you
and
see,
bluff us.
Reggie.
Yep.
You say that, you can call the flop. If you think he's going to go all in on the turn with something rubbish like an ace queen or ace jack, you can call your ace king on the turn. If you think he's just going all in with a really strong hand like aces or kings that is slow played, you can fold the turn because you know there that basically he's only got absolute monster hands in his range. So as far as you're concerned, your ace king's weak. Or if you think he's going to do it with an ace queen or ace jack or some low pair, you can snap call because you've got the odds.
Yes, but
But
here's
when you shove all in on this flop, Reggie, you say to him, hey mate, go on, you can fold out all your bluffs. Basically, you can still call your premiums and get the rest of my money, but you can fold out all your bluffs, mate, and lose minimum money with them.
Yeah, to be fair, I think I played this hand badly, Craig. This is why I
Yeah.
put them in. I don't put hands in that are standard and that are played well because they're the most boring fucking things in the world to review. So I'm happy to accept I probably played this badly. But the counter to what you've just said to me there is that I don't think this pool is like, if I call here, I don't think he's going to bluff shove turns.
Well, you see, Reggie, you can just snap fold your ace king on the turn.
But then but a minute ago, you told me I could just snap call it.
Yeah,
and that's the
issue. Going to
issue.
bluff, Reggie.
Yeah, but we don't. And that's my problem,
if
Craig.
Bluff the turn, you can snap call. But if he does not, if you do not see him bluffing the turn, you can snap.
Yeah, I don't see this. I don't see this pool like raising this flop and shoving turn as a bluff. I think like this. When I see this sort of raise here, it should not be a fucking thing. I just thought this is pure bullshit. But it's going to get too difficult. If I just call, I'm going to get confused on a load of turns and make too many mistakes. I thought we could maybe fold out some medium pairs that are like raising to try and find out where they're at. They shouldn't do it, but people fucking do. You know, people will definitely have raised folds here, and whatever he's raised folding with will have some equity against us. And I just didn't know what to do, Craig. And I just when he raised, I instinctively thought, this is bullshit, mate. Let's put you to the test. And I'm not saying that's good poker, but that was what I instinctively thought, and that's why I did what I did. I haven't got any good reasons for it.
Yeah.
It was just very much that race shouldn't be a fucking thing. That means there could be a bit of bullshit in your range here. So therefore, I'm all in, and that kind of let's just see what happens, which is what I did. And I don't recall what he did here, so it'll be interesting. Yeah, and he did just fold, you know. So fuck knows what he's taking that line with. But my instincts were right in that. You know, that race was just pure bullshit. The problem is, even though I'm confident, generally speaking, that race is bullshit, I'm not confident enough to call with ace high and then just call it off on turns. And I guess that's a leak of mine.
You fold him out a bluff. That's what you probably did, Rich. You folded out a stupid bluff in his range.
Yes, it looks that way, mate. But that bluff might have worked on the turn. If I'd just called and checked, his bluff would have worked at a high frequency on the turn because I don't think I would have check called the turn. I think I would just have called and given up.
Yeah.
So there we go, Craig. That was an interesting first hand. That's taken us 20 minutes.
Always go small. Do a smaller 3-bet-3. And when it comes to playing stuff, I think you think a lot about your range, Reggie. But really, when it comes to stuff like this, you should put more thought into opponent's range. I mean, when I do GTO, and I've said I'm not going to do it much, it's because I'm just thinking, well, I'm not going to bother balancing my own range so much. But all I'm going to do is I'm just going to think about opponents' ranges.
Yeah, and I'll 100% do that when I've got a sample on somebody. I just think when you're playing against an unknown, there's just too many unknown quantities. So there you kind of have to just.
You've got to think of
you have to play your own hand in your
general
instincts.
range then.
But that's it. I don't know. I don't know.
What do you think he's? Let's start off then, Reg.
Okay.
First off, what do you think he's going to 3-bet pre?
Well, I think in these games, theoretically, the people shouldn't be flatting from middle position. They should just be 3-bet or folding. Now, I don't think this pool are necessarily doing that. I think but that's theoretically what should be happening. So I think his range for 3-betting is going to be or should be, quite depolarized and relatively wide. Things like Queen Jack suited, 10-9 suited. I think if I was developing a middle position three betting range, it would probably be stuff like, I'd probably fold stuff like Ace Jack and what have you, and it would be Ace Queen, Ace King. Then obviously probably jacks through aces for value. I probably would flat some pocket pairs, to be honest with you. And then I'd also have some stuff like Queen Jack suited, 10 Jack suited, 9-10 suited. That would be my range. But do I think this pool's doing that? Do I? Fuck no. I think this pool is probably going to be quite narrow with their three betting ranges in this position. But again, it's difficult to say. I've played about 14,000 hands of 10-0 snap now. And to borrow one of your favourite phrases, most of them are weak cunts, sir. You know, they really are. It's a very weak player pool.
I mean, if I thought of what he threw, then what did it? And I can see on that board there, 2, 4, 5. What I'd have said is I'd say, well, he doesn't have any nut combos and stuff.
No, definitely
He
not.
does have an ace queen, an ace jack, maybe some other suited broadways, mid-pocket pairs. And then when I just look at it, I just think, well, this ace king here. It got some showdown value against that, and I don't expect this. So what I'd say is, now I'd either go really small on flop, or check raise. And the reason is, I check, he'll probably bet wide. He'll have ace queen, ace jack and stuff like that in his range. Then I come along and do the raise and stuff. And then I'd say, well, he's got to fold some of that hands, and I've got strong equity.
Yeah, I like the check raise idea. I do like the check raise idea. Big fan of that. Anyways, we're gonna have to move on, Craig, because we've got a few hands to get through. But
let's look at the next one.
Thank you for that, sir. So Jack Queen suited, middle position. So straight from the off here, I mean, if I'm true to my word, I should be three betting here versus under the gun.
You've got to.
Hopefully I do, but let's see. Yep, I do. I guess you're okay with the sizing there.
I mean, yeah.
Yep, magic.
Maybe go 3x, but that's okay.
He calls. He checks. So what's your line? You got 2 overs and backdoor everything.
Now on this board, I think they've got to see about your full range. Yeah. Now, but when I think of his range, it's more or less pocket pairs.
This is where I disagree. I think
it's high, so.
When I see people raise pre-flop under the gun and check, that's usually a green light for me to just start barreling, because I think they've got a pretty capped range,
and it's
generally
where I'm
speaking.
thinking, you see, about next street.
My issue with it in this hand is that our opponent, this is my c-bet stat, he's only got a small sample, so who knows, but he's only got a 29% c-bet. He's only c-bet 4 out of 14 times. Yeah. So I think this player is going to have more strength in his checking range than somebody like this guy who c-bets 85%, or someone like myself who c-bets 65%.
Sometimes look at 2 spots with them c-bets. The in position and out of position.
Yeah, I think I was talking to Juice the other day, and I've been struggling on 10 high boards, and now my adjustment at the moment is out of position with weak hands or with air on 10 high boards. I'm usually check folding, and in position I'm doing a bit more c-betting. I'm still not very happy at all with my post-flop play as the pre-flop raiser on 10 high boards, but I think this one here is...
Looking at it, I'd probably go for a big bet, c-bet myself on this board.
See, I'm definitely bet. I don't know how big I'm going to go.
It's a football whereby you've got lots of air and stuff, and some of it you'll be checking like an ace king. So this queen jack is certainly in your betting range, and if you think, well, as far as your opponent scores and stuff like that, it's going to be harder for them to have auto folds in their range.
Yeah, I've just remembered it's a 3-bet pot. So what I was saying there about his c-bet's an irrelevant thing anyway for this hand, because we 3-bet, didn't we? Yeah, I think we have a mandatory c-bet here. You said you'd go large. See, I wouldn't. I think I'm probably going to go quite small here. And then if he calls, if we get a good turn for our range or for our actual hand, then I'd probably start going 3/4 pot or more. And if he calls and we miss, then I'm probably getting close to winning give up more. So if this turn was to
That's
come,
why I go large, Reggie. When you go small, you're targeting auto folds in his range. Stuff will snap up. But on that board texture, he's not really going to have an auto fold range. If you bet small, he should be defending ace high.
I know, and that's why I'm going to go small on the flop. And again,
No,
this comes.
that's why I say you should big. I said, Reggie, a small bet, he should be defending ace high.
I understand what you said, mate. I understand what you said. I'm going to explain why I usually go smaller on this, and it's because I want to set up like it's again, it goes back to something I read of Janda, where if you like bet quite small on the flop and someone just calls, it usually like caps and weakens their range significantly. So therefore, you can then get aggressive down more streets. I think we get more folds in general in this hand if we bet small flop he calls and then we barrel big on lots of turns. I think we get more folds overall than we get from just going.
Are you doing that with Queen Jack if it misses?
Yeah, probably. Because we've got some backdoor stuff. So if we could just finish with point a sec, mate, because I'll forget myself otherwise. I think we get more folds overall by going small on flop and then barreling quite big against on plenty of turns against his range than we do if we bet big on this flop and he calls. Then it's a fucking hard trigger to pull on the turn because the larger we bet, the narrower his calling range is going to be. If we bet, say 70 cents on this flop, his calling range is still going to be very wide. He's going to reach turns with a pretty weak range still. Whereas if we bet, say, $1.70, he's not going to reach the turn with anywhere near as much of a weak range, which I think causes us some problems when we want to be like double barreling as a bluff sometimes. Because I think our turn bluffs, I think if we bet 60, our turn bluffs have a way higher success rate than if we bet, say, 170 here. I think if we bet 170, our turn bluffs have very low success rate, which is why I prefer to go small flop and then bet bigger on turns the times I want to continue.
So you see, I'm understanding it, yeah. And it's like, if that turn card is a free and you're still going to barrel the turn with Queen Jack, it's okay to bet it.
I probably wouldn't barrel a 3, Craig. That's what I'm saying.
Reggie, but you have to. That's what I'm saying, Reggie. I mean, you've got to barrel that turn with that 10. He's not got many 10Xs. He's still got ace high.
I don't have many 10Xs either, do I? I don't know what to do with you, Craig, to be honest with you. I genuinely don't know.
I have to barrel that turn, Reggie.
So he checks. I didn't because I'm a weak cunt. And then the river comes a queen.
I mean,
now we have to call, do we? As
you've
played.
got to call it, yeah. But
there's queen.
You see, Reggie.
Yeah, if I barrel that turn, he's falling.
You should have barreled it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is why I was saying, you see, bet big with this one. On the flop, you can bet big, and basically, as it is, if the turn casts a blank, you think of his range and you think, right, Craig, Queen Jack, you're giving it up now because he's folded lots of the stuff.
Yeah.
If the turn card is an ace, a king, or a diamond, what can you do on the turn? You can overbet, shove.
Overbet, shove the turn? Really?
Yeah.
Let's go back a click.
What it would be, Reggie, you'd think of it on the flop. You'd start off with a big bet because your Queen Jack, it's got 2 overcards at this minute in time, but it's got loads of draw equity and stuff. It can improve with lots of backdoor draws. So you say to yourself, let's bet big on this flop. This will put pressure on his ace queen and he will not be able to call it or he won't be very happy. And so then when it comes to his range on that turn and you've missed with your Queen Jack, you can say, right there, Craig, now we have not going to expect any more hands to call. So what we do is we can check on that turn. And if, of course, we think he is one that's going to do it so wide and flow, we can just check with an ace-ace, something like that, to raise river. But, yeah.
So using your size on the flop, say there'd have been an extra $2 in this pot, so there'd have been 571, he'd have had 722. You'd just be jamming this turn with a quite high frequency, would you?
Not this 10, I wouldn't, but if it was an ace, a king, or a diamond,
yeah, right, okay.
all in, because basically your Queen Jack has got really good equity and stuff.
Yeah, no,
when
I
it
hear you now,
goes-
buddy. Sorry, I misheard you. I thought you said you would overbet shove this 10, which I would not have been a fan of.
No.
But no, I agree. Yeah, if it's a hand that increases our fold equity and increases our pot equity, then yeah, I'm 100% on
That's
board.
right.
If I'd have chosen your size, I'd happily overbet shove any ace king on this turn or diamond.
Any ace,
So yeah,
king or diamond can do it.
yeah, totally
That's
on
a
board
good
with you,
trick.
Chief.
So yeah, in future, Reggie, on 10x boards, if you've got strong backdoor equity with something like Queen Jack, go for a big bet
Go
on
with
the
the bigger
flop.
size in.
Then they can't call these ace highs unless they've got backdoor.
No bother,
And
Chief.
on the turn, if you see an ace, a king, or something like that, you can shove all in because you've still got it. And also mind, even with pocket kings, you can still jam.
Yeah, I'm on board. I think once we get to a turn SPR of like 1.1 or whatever it would be, jam's the only size anyway. Without anything that's continuing, then jam's the size, isn't it? Okay, so now we have a king 9 suited. And this is not normally defend for me in the big blind versus a 3x because rake's just too high. But we have no hands on this guy, but he looks like a moron. He's not playing a full stack. And up to now, he's played 71-43, which even if they are his true stats, it's still indicative that the guy's going to be something of a numpty, isn't it? So we call, we flop top pair. It's standard check call, Craig, would it be? Or would you be doing some check raising sometimes?
I don't think I'd do it with this king 9. King queen, I would check raise.
Would you not 3-bet that pre-flop king queen sometimes?
Not against this position, not king queen offsuit, that's for sure.
Okie dokie. Anyway, it checks through, unfortunately. So now we have to start leading, do we? Now he's checked back the flop?
Yeah.
We do?
Yes, but I go small.
You go smaller than that, would you? Even against someone who we think's probably a useless fish?
Well, if he's a useless fish, it and mix it, yeah. I was thinking general, but you can probably go big against a weak fish with this fan because you don't need to.
And then this river, are we value betting or are we checking to try and induce bluffs from his?
Overbet.
You'd overbet?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
I overbet this river because as far as I'm concerned, basically, I'm trying to target Jack X, and if he's a fish, he should call Jack X.
Yeah, I like that.
If he does not call Jack X's and stuff like that on this river, well, you can overbet any 2 cards and it'll overfold.
See, the way I put this hand in is because my default in these situations, and I think it's wrong, given I've seen lots of people now just give up with bluffs or not bet with draws that have missed. My default in this situation for fucking years has been, right, well, hearts have missed, like all the open and straight draws have missed, like the queen 10s, and if he's got like a 7-8 or something like that that's turned a straight draw. So my default line usually when I'm out of position on a board where there's not a single draw got there is check to allow people to bluff. But I'm seeing more and more that it's a useless line these days because people don't bluff. Yeah.
So just overbet yourself on rivers like this because they'll overfold.
So instead of checking, I decided to go with this small bet to try and induce a raise. Not because I'm not betting this small because I want him to call. I'm betting this small to try and induce a raise. No, I don't think many people do like this. It's something I talked to Jusenberg about where sometimes betting small against the right players can induce them to just like freak out with their showdown value. Well, how did we word it? Basically, if he has a hand here like a 5 or a 6, he might know his hand isn't good, but because we bet small, it might induce him to do something stupid. Again, I like it in theory. In practice, I'm not sure it works that well. And overall, I think I like your line of just betting very big to target Jack X.
I like the overbets, and then you get maximum value from worse. And if they're going to fold, then what you can do?
Oops, a daisy. Gone back too far. Right, so Craig, we have a very interesting spot on this river because we've bet small to induce a raise, and then he's done that, which is fucking bonkers. Now what, Craig? Now what?
See,
his raise does 1.5x. What the fuck? What's going on, man?
This is what happens, Reggie, as well when you bet so small.
Yeah.
You do a stupid raise. And you've got it. Oh,
I mean, there's no folding. It's just do we 3-bet or not? There's obviously no folding whatsoever.
You see? I don't have a clue.
No, neither did I, Craig. Neither
And
did
this
I,
is why I
mate.
just would rather just overbet.
Yes, you're right.
Flipping races, I'll cry, call, or fold.
But like I said, I bring hands to these videos that I haven't played great because there's no point bringing straight. I don't want to bring hands that just make me look good. I want to bring hands that are going to stimulate discussion, and thankfully we've done that so far. So yeah, but thing is, Craig, I agree. I didn't have much of a clue either. But you've got to make a decision, kid. What are you doing? Are you raising or are you calling?
Yeah, well. God. You see, I don't have a clue.
No, I just called because I didn't have a
Is he
clue.
gonna? I mean,
So
session is I want to say.
So when I
If
don't
I-
have a clue, I tend to take passive routes when I don't have a
If
clue.
you do a min click back, will he still call it? Will he do this with Jack X? 5x. If he does it with 5x, will he call a min re-raise?
Yeah, I suppose they would, but
And
you don't want to open
if
yourself
he
up to
went
another.
and goes all in, oh God, what the hell are you doing
Yeah,
then?
which is why I didn't want to
See?
3-bet. I whipped out here and just called. I thought we had the best hand most of the time, but I do not want to reopen the bet into this guy another time. And he just had ace jack, which is
My
weird.
advice is, Reggie, next time, just overbet the cunt.
Yes, I like
Still
it.
call that ace jack in his range for sure.
Yes.
So just overbet big, like 120% of the pot. And if he does do it all in, then you can evaluate it and think, what's he shoving with? And if you've got maybe a full house, you can still call it. Or if you've got the best ace, if you've got king, queen, call. And stuff. But yeah, just overbet.
Yeah,
and
bet
stuff like
bigger.
that,
Bet
mate.
bigger's easily the line there, Craig. That was me being me being fancy against, or trying to be fancy against someone that you should just not try and get fancy against.
That's definitely what happens, and then you put yourself into spots where you don't have a clue. And
yeah, that was.
I don't know what the fuck he was doing with his ace jack, but if I'm honest, it's a good thin value raise. You know, that's the truth.
Yeah, true. Because I mean, I'd do that with Jack 10.
Because I don't give him kings.
Yeah, I'd do that with if I was in his shoes there, basing that blocking bet. If I had Queen Jack or Jack 10 here, I would be forced to call. Yeah, but that was just a bit of a cluster. Here's more like it. Aces, my favourite.
Right.
So we've had a 3x open. We've made it 13x. He's called. And then we get. This is like one of the worst flops for me. When I'm in a 3-bet pot, I don't like seeing these Jack 10 8s, Jack 10 queens, 9 10 jacks. So usually, and I don't know what I do here because I genuinely do not remember this hand, I would probably check this board with quite a high frequency because I think it strongly favours the caller's range. Even though we can have sets of jacks and 10s, we probably don't have sets of 8s very often.
We should have jacks.
Yeah, I have jacks and sometimes 10s, not always, because
the combo I'd probably bet ace jack because that blocks the strength in his range.
Yeah, it blocks top set. Yeah.
Pocket queens I'd bet because the idea of that combo is if you check, he bets you going to call and stuff, so you're not losing much. But on the other hand, you are allowing his king high, his ace high, and his 9 high and 7x combos like pocket sevens to get a 3 card. So this pocket aces I like to check because this is not so vulnerable to strength, to high cards and stuff. It's only really vulnerable to things which are going to call anyway. So aces I check.
Yep, I like that.
I'll sometimes check, but queens and ace jack I bet to, because them are basically ones where I want to deny the high cards equity.
So we check and he bets full pot into us, Craig.
Fuck me. This is absolutely polarized. I mean, you've got aces. You can't fold this.
No. Folding was never entering my head.
I'm not check raising and stuff because God, he is either got the absolute nuts or he's bluffing. So just call.
See, this is where I think I disagree with you. Can he not sometimes just have Jack X here and he's just blasting away to try and deny equity to my ace queen and ace king?
You'd have to have notes that he's doing that.
No, which I don't have, of course. But
this is a polarised bet. It's normally the absolute best hands or rubbish.
Yep.
So basically, with aces, you want to just call the flop. If he's doing this with a jack X, there's a good chance he's going to bloody barrel again on the turn.
I think this pool uses this size a lot, but when they're like, when they've got a value hand that they're fucking terrified of like bad turns on. That's my read on this pool, generally speaking. A lot of like relatively weak regulars might take a hand like Ace Jack here, King Jack suited, pocket queens, and do this because they don't want to see any more cards. Like, I think I've got the best hand. There's going to be lots of turns I don't want to deal with.
It's different to the one I've seen. Most the times when I see it, when people are betting big, they have it.
This is probably the weakest speed poker pool available to Euro players. I think it's, well, I don't know because I haven't played Zoom for ages and I haven't played Fast Forward for ages. But when I was last playing speed poker in like late 2019 maybe, autumn 2019, 888 Snap was way softer than Fast Forward and Poker Stars, and I think you are going to see people playing much more close to what you would expect them to say, because I know you're a theory guy. I think those pools play much closer to that than these pools do. I think the regulars in these games are significantly worse than the regulars at 10NL Zoom and 10NL Fast Forward. I don't know if that's still the case now, but from what I've seen so far, it seems like it to me. So I'm guessing you wouldn't do what I do here, which is I'm all in for value. And this is for value. This is just to get called by his Jack X, his pocket queen, stuff like that.
That's it. If he calls it, but I mean, when I think actually, he's got probably 2 Ace Jack combos in his range, because he shouldn't be calling Ace Jack offsuit. And in a pool like this, I can't say I'm having Ace Jack. He's got 2 Ace Jacks.
He shouldn't be, Craig. But remember, these guys are pretty bad regulars, so they are going to have more hands that they shouldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I agree. I would never have Ace Jack if I was in his shoes. You wouldn't either. But lots and lots of players will have Ace Jack here. They'll even have King Jack suited and things like that.
Mm.
Maybe even some Queen Jacks, because they just don't fold enough. It's as simple as that. They make fundamental mistakes pre-flop.
This for you talking then different. I mean, me, I've said that I'm shoving. And am I expecting a Jack X to call when I jam? No. Not unless, of course, he's a massive whale that overcalls complete shit.
I'm expecting him to call when they use that size. I think I'd probably do this with my pocket kings, pocket queens, pocket aces, and then just king queen, I think, would be the only other hand I would do this with. And sets, of course. So when I do this, I am massively weighted to value, and I do not have enough bluffs when I do this. I know that, because my only bluff realistically here, given I 3-bet pre, is going to be king queen, I'd imagine.
Mm.
So anyway, let's see what he does. He calls.
Thank God.
And he had pocket queens, so yeah. I mean, I don't think he's done that much wrong there. I think he should maybe bet a bit smaller on the flop.
Reggie, he still would get that on the turn.
Yeah.
So you've lost any value. What would happen? You would not have lost value because he would be still barreling that on the turn. And then you'd see how much is in the pot. He'd probably have bombed the turn. You'd now look at your aces and say, well, there's loads of chips now in the pot. Now I just want to get it all in.
So you don't think he's ever checking back when I check call that flop then on the turn? You don't think there's any check backs in his range?
He is going to bomb the pot size with the absolute best hand and stuff. He's surely going to be calling. Because you said it there, they bomb the pot to basically, because they get scared and they don't want to bet the turn. If they get scared of that, why the hell are they going to call a shove? If they're too scared to basically bomb the pot, then bomb the turn, I highly doubt they're going to call it your massive shove. They're probably too, because you're already worried about aces, kings and queens.
Yeah, in theory, I agree. In practice, I don't think it's right in this pool, Craig. I think, I completely agree. Theoretically, you are...
Look, I'm talking about Reggie when I say people are scared.
Yeah.
I'm talking about practice. If people are scared of aces and they're going to bomb the pot scared of it, they're probably too scared to call, because as far as they're concerned, all they can give you is aces or kings or queens. So just get too scared of it and will basically call.
I still don't think this.
And the other side of it is, if of course they can still give you ace king, they'll check the turn. What you can do is you can shove all in the river, and they'll say, oh, he'll have ace king, so I'll call my ace jack.
Yeah, maybe, babe. I think we have different reads on this player pool because for me, I think once people bet that big, they're not folding very often, which is why I went for the jam. I didn't think he was bluffing. And of course, we can have some sets, but I think my read on the pool is that if he had a set, he would have bet smaller. This looked like a scared, I've got the best hand, please fuck off sort of situation, where he wouldn't do that if he had a set. He'd probably want to try and milk me a little bit. That's my read on the pool. I could be wrong, but that's my read on the pool.
A queen could come on the turn, or a 9 could come on the turn.
And that would make me very, very sad.
You'd be devastated because you'd have lost your full stack there against queens. However, if you called the flop and you saw the queen or that 9 on the turn, you can then say, right, I've had enough now. Because you'd know yourself he'd just slow down and wouldn't bet much at all. All he'd do is he'd just bet with basically
straights, I think.
A stupid 9x or that's it. And so you can say, well, now I am not giving you any more cash.
Yep, no arguments there, Craig.
So yeah, don't bother check shoving that flop. If you're going to actually do that, Reggie, just bloody bet the hand yourself, because as far as you're concerned, you're saying it there, he's going to call you that. Well then, bet the bloody hand yourself on the flop, because you're expecting ace jack to call, you're expecting queens to call, you're expecting 9s to call. And well, if you think then he's going to raise it, well, you can happily get it all in, because again, you know yourself, he's going to have ace jack, king jack, queen jack, queens, 9x, 10x. So yeah, you can stop call it. And yeah, so do you see where I'm coming from, Reggie?
Oh, of course I do, mate. Yeah, that's why I asked you to come on, because I knew you were going to give a different perspective to me on a lot of these hands, which is why I wanted to have you on, because I want people who are going to offer different perspectives. Otherwise, it makes for a very boring video, doesn't it? So, yeah, thank you for that, Chief. Let's go on to the next one. Ace Queen suited. We've squeezed. I think I should probably go bigger, but what do you think of the sizing of the squeeze?
I'd go a little bigger. I normally 3-bet 12x at the very least in the small blind. 12 big blinds is always my 3-bet size from the small big blind on cash.
Yeah, I think if it were min raise, I got a 10x versus a min raise, and I got a 12x versus a 3x. That's my default. So normally, if the button hadn't called, I would just have 10x to you. With the button calling, I've gone to 11, but I think I'd prefer 13, I think. But I think it's a small point. We get a cold call out of the big blind, who looks like he's some kind of regular.
This was it. Pivots should never ever actually have cold calls very much.
No, they shouldn't, but they do, because people love to set mine, Craig. People love set mining. They love set mining more than I love Burger King. And trust me, I fucking love Burger King. So here we get to this flop. It's straightforward check. Or do we see bet some any frequency whatsoever?
A lot of my range with plan to squeeze range.
Yeah.
Squeeze.
I'm guessing I'm going for a check raise here. I mean, I might not, but
check raise your plans, even if you've got aces and kings. Allow that big blind to bet his range, and then see what button does. And if it button falls, well, you can look at thinking of equation, but if he calls, just squeeze all in and stuff.
Check. So I guess we're just raising now, and we're delighted to.
Now you squeeze.
Yep, happy days. This one might be a quick one, Craig. Fold, call, and whatever. Yeah, he had a set of queens. It's irrelevant. But I guess that was just a flop situation of, because, I mean, I'm going to check that board probably with my entire range, but because we have the flush draw, is there ever any C betting? I guess that was the question there.
If was there ever any C betting? Well, it would probably be with something like an ace king with an ace of hearts, pocket jacks.
No, I guess what I meant, Craig, was, are we ever C betting this exact combo? I guess that's what I meant.
The that combo, no. Because like I say, if we really want to do it, I'd rather do it with something like pocket jacks, which is more vulnerable and stuff. And if I've got ace king with an ace of hearts, because that blocks the calls, and we can barrel good turns with it. With
Okay.
that ace queen, no, I'm just...
Hello, you still there, mate?
Yeah?
I just got a bit of feedback, that's all. I wasn't sure if you disappeared or not. Okie dokie, let's move on to the next one, because that was quite simple. King 9 suited, we open the button, calls, flop a flush draw. It's mandatory c-bet, yeah?
I might have to let me dog out.
Okay, mate, you go and... Is it Betsy she's called? You go and let Betsy out.
Right. So I'm in the kitchen. So, yeah, c-bet on the flop.
Which, let's see.
1/3.
I c-bet 1/3 pot, so there, we're on board, Craig. We're on the same page, kiddo.
Yeah.
He calls,
But the turn, I bet...
we turn the
Right.
notes.
Well, this king, this one, I haven't looked, but I think we've got more flushes than he's got. And, I think if it was a king queen, I'd check, but this king 9, I'm going to bet big.
He leads into us, Craig, so now what?
He leads into us.
Yeah, he leads into us for 2/3 pot.
Well, as I say, if it was a king queen, I'd call, but this king 9 I'm raising because he should have some queen high, jack high, 10 high, and single card flushes, so raise.
I just called, unfortunately.
Right.
River pairs the board.
Don't like it.
He now bets around 2/3 pot again.
No.
Are we raising here?
No, I mean, this is where it's hard. See, I raise. I think we've got to, like, but
I did. I
do
went
it just
all in.
small.
I guess I should have asked you
I'd
the
have
size
gone small,
beforehand.
and then if he raises all in, I'd evaluate it and decide whether he's got enough full houses or not. But I wouldn't do it, sure, I don't think, because...
See, I don't think he has full houses here because I think he check raises the flop with his with. He doesn't have pocket queens, or he shouldn't have pocket queens. He shouldn't have pocket aces. So I think on the flop with the set of 6s or set of 8s, when we just bet 1/3, I think he raises. I don't think he slow plays a set versus 1/3 on the flop, which is why I was comfortable raising here.
I mean, it's sick like this. Oh, well, if he's loose, he should still call any flush or something.
I don't think there is I know you suggested raise fold. I don't think there is a raise fold. He's only got $7 behind. If we raise this to say $4, I'm not going to fold the nut flush for 3 more. So I don't think there is a raise fold.
I was going to go for a little raise. Just a mint click back.
Literally, just click it back.
Yeah, just clicking it back, you see. I just clicked back on that turn, and then that gives you the ability to basically roll, because you could raise to £2.50, £2.60. He goes all in. Now you've got the ability to fold.
Do you not think he would sometimes jam queen high flushes if we click it back? I don't think he would very often, to be honest.
But if you think you say he would, well, you can now snap call it. It's all, again, depending on what you think he'll do with his range.
Yeah, we don't know, mate. We've got 31 hands, sadly, so we just don't know.
And mostly gates open.
No bother, mate. You go and sort yourself out.
So...
Now, that deep bark I can hear there, Craig, that isn't Betsy. Betsy doesn't have a deep bark like that, does she?
Nah.
Not a chance.
So, what I was saying here, she's come back in. You can do a click back on that river, or the main raise, and then you can say to yourself, well, he might be induced to do more stupid actions, in which case you could snap call it. If you think he's not going to do with something stupid, and he's not going to do with a queen, you can snap fold because he won't have bluffs and stuff.
Yeah.
But when you shove all in, you are asking him, hoping and praying that he'll call it. I mean, at this stakes, like, he should do, but I think the truth is, Reggie, you should just have basically raised that king 9 flush on the turn. The only one you want to call is a king queen, because it blocks the queen high flushes and stuff. and he's not going to have single card clubs on the turn that'll call, and therefore you're targeting Jack X, and then on rivers and stuff, you can evaluate there whether or not to raise on full houses, and if he does shove, well, you can probably just fold it, or you can just call the river if you don't think he's calling enough worse.
Yep, I can understand that, but he went with the fold anyway, so he probably just had some hand he was fucking about with by the looks of things. Let's go to the next one. Don't know how many more we've got to do. We've got another 6 more, including this one. So we have 8-7 suited middle position, which we open. I don't always open this. I've been like looking at my stats lately, and I've been getting progressively tighter. When I first came into this pool, I was playing like a 20-24 VPIP, and then I started cutting some hands.
This one.
I started cutting some hands out of my range because I was finding myself out of position too often, and then I ended up going too tight. So I'm now starting to like rebuild my range a little, and 8-7 comes back into it. So I did go with it.
Looser is better at this stage because they'll overfold.
I also think looser is worse because the rake's so fucking high.
And yeah, that's fine.
So anyway, we flop the low end of the nuts, and we c-bet. He calls.
Yeah.
Still have the low end of the straight. We barrel. He calls. This might be a pretty boring hand, to be honest. Right. So this river comes. It completes a flush, and it also now like makes it, in my opinion, harder to get value from.
He shouldn't have any flushes, Reggie.
No, he probably shouldn't have. But he can be scared of them if I bet, can't he? That's my issue.
Really?
I think this is a hand that makes it harder for us to get value. Now this river's come. I don't think it changes very much.
He should still be calling. He still has to call. If not, you can jam anything, Reggie. He has to still call some Jack X's in his range.
What, even on a 4-line straight and
yes.
Backdoor flush board, yeah? You think so?
If he's got maybe Ace Jack with the Ace of Diamonds, then he's got to snap call it, Reggie.
That's only one combo though, mate, isn't it? We're only thinking about more than just that.
No, that's 3 combos.
Yeah, true.
King Jack with a King of Diamonds is a good one to call. Probably, or even better, Queen Jack with a diamond is best. Because, honestly, Reggie, you've got more Queen Jack than Ace Jack in your range. And, I mean, 10-9, if he's got a 10-9 with 2 diamonds, he can cry call. He's got to call some hands. And the thing is, if you check, well, he shouldn't be betting. I think I'll just do a blocker bet of 1/3.
Let's see what I did.
And then if he raises, you can cry call if you think he's bluffing. So I'd have just gone 1/3.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to bet call this, to be honest. Especially against his stack. Look at his stack. He's only got a $4 stack.
So the other thing, Reggie, is you've got an easy fold. You can bet really small on that river. He basically has got to defend some of the hands. If he is going to basically just fold or call worse and only raise 8 X's and backdoor flushes, you can happily fold and say, in your face, you cunt.
Yeah,
learn to bluff raise.
I think I like the bet fold now you think about it, Craig. I didn't like it at first, but I think I do like it now. It went check, and he did. Yeah, you're right. A blocker bet there is easily the best line. So thank you for that, Chief, because I looked at the board and thought it's going to be really hard to get called by worse now because, you know, any 8 now beats all his pairs. Not that I'd probably have that much fucking 8x that takes that line because most of my semi-bluffs are going to be around a queen, not an 8.
I think he is super aggressive. You could go towards a check raise on the turn with that 8-9.
I don't think, based on a very small sample, 31-13, he doesn't seem super aggressive. But again, sample size too small. But yeah, I think I agree now that the block bet is much better than what I did, which was check. And I wasn't planning on folding, for the record. I was definitely checking to call, but yeah, I think block's better. Yeah, definitely. Next one, 8-9 of hearts, open, 2 calls. What the fuck is this hand doing in here? Right, God knows what's happening here, Craig, because this doesn't look like I should be doing an awful lot of anything here.
We do not do much c-bet at all on monotone. We check most of our rounds.
I didn't. Right.
Well,
so we turn trips.
We then have a check raise squeeze. But Right, it's gone check on the flop.
Ah, hang on. So you would sometimes check raise here with an 8-9, would you? If we,
Not
just
with this one, sorry.
right,
So I'm
okay,
thinking if I've got flushes or ace of spades,
right.
maybe
Sorry,
pocket kings,
I understand.
pocket aces with a spade, I'd check raise, stuff like that.
I understand. I thought for a minute you were saying you would check raise
No.
this,
I
which
mean, I'm just checking this one and I'll wait and see what's happening because sometimes you could check fold it.
yeah, I think
If,
check
if
fold
one,
would have been probably the line I'd use the most there, depending on sizing, of course.
yeah.
So now we face this ridiculous min lead on the turn from someone who's obviously a fish.
Yeah. That's a weak cunt, so Gannon, you can bloody raise it. I mean,
I
Shady
do.
Shark there, he should be bloody capped. He shouldn't have out.
Yeah, we did raise, and then Shady Shark puts the
God.
3-bet in.
This is what
Help me,
David
Craig!
puts.
Help me! Knit Fish is now in trouble. What the fuck are we doing?
You see, this is the typical cunts. They fucking play super weak. I mean, you've got there some. I mean, what I'm doing here is I'm going to try call the turn. If I hit any full house on the river, then what I do is I donk in. I donk jam or I donk block a bit.
I folded, Craig. Blank, I think I folded. I didn't want to interrupt. I just wanted to see what I did before we got onto the river because, yeah, I don't know, Craig.
Donk on rivers where I make a full house that pairs the board again and check shove if a 9 comes.
So, Craig, be brutal with me. Am I a weak cunt for folding that turn?
Well, to be honest, it's okay, but really in the long term, against these cunts, I just call it then donk rivers.
Yeah, donk rivers that improve us. So if we improve to quads or a deuce or a 9.
No, well, not a 9.
You wouldn't donk a 9?
That's the one spot I'd do a check shove. Because he'll probably be more inclined to basically still bet and stuff. I'd do it on the paired boards because they slow down with everything.
Yeah, fair comment, yeah.
But on a 9, they'll still bet their flushes so you can check shove them.
Yeah, this board double pairs, you're right, people would just check back a lot. I agree. But yeah, I wasn't in love with that. You know, folding trips on the turn is not my favourite thing in the world to do. But my read on this pool
it's not that bad a fold, like. Because, I mean, it is big. And
all I will say, Craig, about this pool is that when I get out of line with, like, calling versus large bets and raises where people are representing strength, when I make some light calls or some hero calls, my hero call success rate is fucking diabolical. It just gets shown the nuts over and over and over, or better hands over and over because the pool's so weak, they just don't raise light very often at all. They might call, or if you check, they might bluff light or they might value bet light. But I think specifically when you bet and somebody raises, I think they're just so fucking nutted that I'm willing to. It happens so infrequently. When it does, I'm willing to give up.
Actually, folding, Reggie. The one I'd always still call is an ace-8.
Yeah, I don't think I'd fold ace-8.
You've got to call still an ace-8 because he could have some worse ace-X's. And basically, he's not got pocket queens, which is the only hand you're drawing dead to. But with this 9-8, he might have a queen 8 in his range and stuff, which you're drawing dead to. And yeah, so it's not too bad.
That'll do for me then. I'm happy with that. I'll settle for a not too bad. I can live with that. I'm happy with the not too bad. 10-9 suited, small blind. We open small to big. Our opponent 3 bets. These are spots I'm never that comfortable with. I think it's a hand our hand's too pretty to
you've got
fold.
the right person. I call this spot.
Yeah,
I'm great with 3 bets in these spots.
Good. Well, in that case, educate me, Craig.
Right.
Deuce, 10.
Here, this is the first thing. Now, you check. If he bets one first, already I'm going to check raise some of my 10Xs.
So he bets just under half pot.
Now, this is a bit more stubborn. If it was a third spot, I'd check raise. But I think when he goes a bit bigger, I'll just check call, because I'm not check fold, but I'll just check call it and see, because this is normally going to be more strong.
That's what we did. 7 turn. We check
Right.
again, no doubt. He now checks back.
Well,
So then 4 river. Are we leading
Blocker
this river?
bet.
Blocker.
No,
So what
gonna
size?
block.
Give me a sizing, Craig.
A third.
Third pot. So like 130.
25%. You score like really small, 1/3 or 25%. He should be bloody calling his.
I went with the line that
No.
was discussed with Duesenberg the other day. I went with 10% pot to try,
No.
because I wanted him to raise at this point. When I bet 10% pot, I'm wanting him to raise. I'm wanting him to look at his ace highs and raise with them.
Actually,
Sorry?
I mean, this spot's a bit more stubborn. Do you want him? I mean, do you think he's going to raise an ace king?
I'm hoping, and maybe this is too small, but I'm hoping the 40 cents is like he looks at his some of his weaker ace highs and doesn't want to call with them, so then tries to turn them into a bluff. That's what I was trying to achieve here with this bet size. I was trying to get him to bluff with that ace jack, ace queen, something like that. I think ace king just calls, but I think maybe ace jack, ace queen, maybe even some king highs might once in a while just freak out versus this sizing and turn the hand into a bluff. The stuff that doesn't really want to call, but doesn't really want to fold to this bet size. That's what I was trying to achieve with this bet size.
I mean, I'd have gone like $1. That's what it was.
So you're going with $1, hoping he calls with his ace highs, whereas I'm going this size to hope he raises with them.
That's it.
I guess that's a difference.
Just get them that they call it. You go 20 to 25%, which is roughly $1, and you get them to call it, and you can then think from there. If he's the one who's bluffing and stuff, you can still happily call it there and stuff. Because I mean, you should think, well, is he going to be betting his pairs and stuff on the turn?
So if you block 1/3, you're still calling versus a raise, then, yeah.
Yeah. As I say, 25% is what it should be.
So I guess that's where our thinking isn't in line. I think we're both in line with the bet small to induce a raise. My opinion is, and it could be wrong, is that when we go 1/3 pot, I think it induces far less raises than this 10% pot does. And I guess that's where we're maybe slightly on. I mean, I think this size definitely induces more raises because it's smaller.
You get more value from his ace highs and stuff like that.
Yeah, this doesn't get as much value from his. You
saw that other guy, he just min raised with his ace jack when you did a tiny bet.
So I guess the debate here is that we lose value from his calls with this size, but does this size induce raises at any kind of higher frequency or not, do you think? Do you think the raise of the higher frequency versus 10% than they do against 1/3?
No, not enough. I mean, he'll have to raise like twice as much as two and a half times as much as what he would call.
Yeah, and to be fair, they probably don't, do they?
That's it. You have to raise 2.5 times as many bluffs for you to do this.
To make up, to make up the lost value from. And it happens he just folded because he's a weak cunt.
Yeah.
And there you go. I was surprised to see the fold when you bet 10% pot river. I was very surprised to see you fold. I think most players would just call there.
And next time you can check call more wider on flop, and bluff tiny any card on the river.
That's a good point. We'll make that note right now. Folds in position to 10% river in 3-bet pot blind versus blind after turn check back. Because you're right, it gives us some really cheap bluff opportunities there, doesn't it? Gives us some really cheap bluff opportunities. So yeah, there we go. Let's move on to the next one. We've got 3 more to go, I think. 9-8 suited under the gun. We open, we get a tiny 3-bet. This guy, this is the first time he'd done it, but this was his standard 3-bet size, which is fucking ridiculous. He would, I mean, I know you like yours.
9-8-3.
You're folding it from under the gun?
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
It's at the bottom of our range.
Yeah, and this is one of the hands that I wasn't opening, but because I started playing a little bit too tight, I've started mixing some pure suited connectors back in. So we call, and we get a totally useless flop. So I'm not sure why this hand's made it in, but we'll see. Check, check. He bets. Right, I don't know why this hand's in here, Craig. I get the feeling there might be some spewing coming from me here. Because I don't know why this hand's in here, because this is just
And again, I'm like I say, check fold.
it's a routine check fold. I'm guessing I don't check fold, Craig, and this might be horrible. Whatever I'm going to do here might be horrible. Oh, Craig, we raise.
God.
Craig, we've raised. I've just seen all the backdoor equity, Craig, and I've got a little quarter chunky and gone for it. I like it from an entertainment point of
I'd
view.
rather have check raised on that spot an ace king with 2 clubs than that, because the idea is ace king, it blocks his calls and stuff like that, and it's got more equity. This 9-8, basically he's still got all his calls and stuff like that.
I know, Craig.
He shouldn't have many high cards and stuff.
Craig, I'll be honest with you, mate. I just saw a backdoor flush draw and a backdoor straight draw, and I got excited. That's what's happened here. And my plan here undoubtedly would have been, if he calls, we're bombing any 6, any 10, any club, and then giving up with the rest. If this turn comes like a queen of diamonds, I'm done with it and finished.
You see that? I wouldn't even be happy doing it.
No.
Even if a club come on and turn, because I'd be thinking of Trolley's range, and I'd be thinking, well, he is really strong.
Yeah, it's pure spew, Craig.
I've
because
got much fold equity.
If he calls this check raise, he's going to have aces, kings, queens that are not going to fold on a club turn. They're just not folding. So my line here is bad. I've just seen all the backdoor equity, and I've got a little bit excited, Craig, as I sometimes do with my backdoor equity, and I've gone for a line I should never go for. He calls, and I guess we have to just give up here. Please give up, Reg. Yeah, we just give up, and that's it. Yeah, so that was just very much a flop question. Is because I love raising backdoor.
Don't even bother calling 9-8 off 9-8 suited pre-flop from that position, because Trolley's range is going to be far too strong.
Yeah, but Craig, he's made it fucking like a nano size pre. If we open this, we cannot possibly fold this to this sizing. I mean, we need less than 20% equity, and it's a hand that's going to have good implied odds.
The thing is, Reg, you see, mate, you are out of position, mate.
No, I understand that, Craig.
And the way it works is, he is going to be basically, if you miss the flop, you're having to check raise against a really strong range, and then put money in with bad shape, or you're going to be check fold and missed flop.
Yeah, I understand. Genuinely.
So you want to call these sort of things when you're in position, Reggie.
No.
But in this spot, check fold a 9-8. If you're going to do anything, make it more with something like an ace king, ace queen, ace jack, a suited Broadway, basically, because that blocks his value hands.
Okay, mate, right. Just though, Craig, but I haven't taken issue with you on anything so far. I've been like, yep, I understand, and I accept your point. There's more than one way to skin a cat, etc. I vehemently disagree with folding to this sizing pre-flop. We only need 18% to call, and we have fantastic implied odds. I don't think there can be any folding pre-flop to this size.
They can't be folding. I've got data, Reggie, and stuff. I mean, if he is going to be raising that, well, you know what? I might as well raise you with every single combo, Reggie, because you are going to be super wide out of position, mate.
Nah, I'm not though, because I'm under the gun, so I'm not going to be super wide. I'm going to be. This is the bottom of my range.
The thing is, Reggie, you are going to be 4-betting your strength, so you're going to be really capped still. So I'd be able to raise loads of combos in position as a free bet. You'd be calling. You'd have a wide capped range, is what I'm saying, because you'd be 4-betting your premium hands. And then, come post-flop and stuff like that, I can save it small. If I face a raise, I can still call and stuff, because basically I have got position over you. I have a really good idea of my equity and stuff. And then I can look at turns. If you bet, I can either raise all in or call and trap. Basically, Reggie, position means you've got to be, when you are out of position in a spot like this against this range Trolley has, which should be more stronger, trust us, mate. 9-8 is a bloody fold.
I do,
you do
Craig,
not win.
I do trust you, but I'm afraid, and if it's a leak, then fucking shoot me. It's a leak. I'm afraid there's not a fucking earthly chance I'm ever gonna fold a hand as pretty as it. I'm probably not folding anything that I'm opening versus this. Like, it's 5 big blinds. I've already put 2 in. I've got to put 3 big blinds into a pot of 130. I hear what you're saying, but you could put a gun to my entire family's head here, and I'm like, sorry, kids, but it's 9. I'm just not folding it. I just think the price is just too good, mate.
I mean, you've got hold and manager ready.
Yep.
Let's look at some of your win rates on hold and manager.
We'll do that at the end, Craig. We'll do the last 2 hands, then we can go through how we've been doing so far. Right, so get through this now because it's embarrassing. Right, so next to last hand, Queen Jack offsuit, limped pot. We flop top pair. So, what's your strategy in limped pots with these types of hands?
Bet this really hand against the cunts.
Yep, we bet this hand against the cunts, and we've been delighted to. Turn of 3, we staying betting?
I mean, be careful, but I'm still betting because he's weak.
Yep. 10 river, just betting again. Bet 50.
Bet like small.
He raises. So I bet quarter pot or just over quarter pot. He's now raised us.
I'm not stop folding. If he's all bluff, good for him. But come on, he's got to call flop and turn with so much garbage.
Yeah, I don't know what I did here, Craig. I think I like fold. I'm
fold. Folding, man. If he's got
I did fold, mate. That's a nice, easy one. Just like, I guess I'm still not confident enough with my folds when I know I'm betting small, because a lot of the time I will bet small because I want to induce raises. So the times that I bet small and people do raise, I guess I get myself confused, because a lot of the time I'm betting small rivers, I'm betting small to try and induce. So when I'm betting small not to try and induce, I'm worried that the small bet does induce. I guess that's why I put this hand in.
Yeah, this is right. Sometimes hands like that, I mean, just small bet's okay. But, I mean, as it is, when he does then raise on that river, you fold.
Yeah, he can call with all this. If he's got any pair, like...
You should be sometimes do small bets with some strength. Like, probably, if you think he's going to induce it, let's say you've got basically a queen 10, just bet, well, no, maybe do it with a set like 5s. You can do a small bet on the river, induce him to raise, and then re-raise him, because either way, he should be raising all his strength, so he'll still get max value.
Yeah, I think I agree.
But it basically helps.
Yeah, it's just a confidence issue with me, Craig, with my blocker bets. When I know I can't really call a raise, I feel, I don't want to word this. I feel like because I use a small bet at some frequency to induce, it then feels weird when I use a small bet, because I kind of feel it sometimes does induce. But I don't think this is a spot where it induces. It's a limped pot. And he's going to have so many hands, like, he's going to have like 4 straight 9s that are just going to go call, call, call. He's going to have ace 5 that's just going to go call, call, call. Yeah. So when he does raise, then yeah, I completely agree. I think bet folds entirely the line.
It's funny he's got ace, so that's things like when you've got them straight boards with that 9-8, you bet small there because you can induce them to raise some of the weaker pair hands and flush draws. But on this queen 2-3-5, I mean, he shouldn't be induced to raise much stuff there, and I highly doubt he's going to bloody flow with total junk.
I agree, mate. I do agree with you there. After the last hand where I totally disagreed, this hand I totally agree. Last hand, and this is more for my regular viewers than it is as a review spot. Because as you know, well, I don't know if you do know, Craig, but I'm developing a bit of a reputation for folding pocket kings. So we've had a raise under the gun, and we've had a 3-bet from a guy who looks like he's going to be a maniac. So we had regular raising under the gun. And,
I'm already not happy with my kings here.
You're already not happy. Well, I wasn't absolutely chuffed with them.
I'm certainly not folding this spot, but I'm going to do a really cry 4-bet.
And that's exactly what I did. But I wasn't sure about size. I've gone pretty big.
God.
You don't like it, Craig? Oh no, Craig, he's gone with the old God line. I don't like that.
If I'm going to 3-bet there, I'm going to go like £2. just go 2. I mean, 3 is huge and stuff.
The only
And
reason I
you
got
do
that,
not want to inflate the pot very good with
the only
this
reason I went this,
hand.
I wouldn't have gone that size 100 blinds deep, but we are like 240 blinds deep with this guy and 260
Yeah.
blinds deep. So that's the reason I went bigger. If we were 100 blinds deep, I would undoubtedly have just gone like
But even
anything
so, in
like
this
probably
spot,
21,
Reggie,
22
it's
blinds.
because these ranges are so strong. These should have more stronger ranges.
Yeah, but remember,
Especially when
remember this
Nora
guy
is-
though, Craig. This guy's looking like he might be a nutter, so we can't
it's
assign
not really
normal
much
ranges
to
to him.
see. Unless, of course, you've seen him 3 better
No, I
hands.
haven't seen anything like that yet.
26 is not enough hands to actually take into account.
I know, but it's information that's there, and we can't just ignore it. He does
But
look
see,
like he's more
all you
loose
could say
aggressive
is
than
someone-
normal.
Have you ever had spots where you've got a number of premium pairs in a row?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, no, I
And
understand.
that would exactly be what happens with Norrell there.
Yeah.
He might have had it. So you either need to have seen him go to showdown with something absolutely ridiculous in his raising range and stuff, or you just have to take it with care and know, well, either he might be crazy or maybe he's running good. So, but with kings here, that's it. I'll just go for a small 3-bet. So you 4-bet to £2,
So
even
you
though we're
wouldn't-
deep. And it's because how big these are.
So you don't alter your bet sizes to compensate a little bit for stack depth.
Not at this position, Reggie.
Because how I do it in these spots, when we're like 200 blinds deep,
I mean,
if
if it was button and small blind did the 3-bet, then I'd go for big 1. But under the gun and under the gun +1, that is when I really do not want to inflate the pot very much out of position.
No, I understand that concept. My reasons for doing the sizing I do is when I'm playing like 200 blinds deep versus people, I just kind of go into, right, well, let's play it like it's 20 an L now because it's with 200 blinds deep. Now, I know that doesn't totally marry across. But in a spot like this now, I'm like, right, well, I want to make a smallish 4-bet, but we're playing effectively for double the stakes because of the effective stat depth. So I kind of went with this size, not because I wanted to make it 31 bigs. I'm just kind of trying to make it around like one fucking certain percentage of the effective stack. So that's why I use this size, because I kind of think, well, I want to set up a particular SPR post flop, and this is the size that achieves that. And now it's not an exact science with me by any stretch, but usually when I play deeper stacked, when I'm 3-betting or 4-betting, I'll usually go much on the larger sizes, because then I'm in less weird spots. You know, if I get into a spot here where I make it, say, 180 or 190, then we're going to be in a cold 4-bet pot with an SPR of 10, which is like an alien concept to me. You know, how often are you in 4-bet pots with SPRs of 10? It's almost never. So I kind of use these sizes just to set up SPRs that I'm familiar with.
Change it, Reggie. The way of changing it is you can do more bigger C-bet sizings on flop.
No, I'm not saying what
big blinds deep.
No,
Your
Craig,
C-bets should be 25%.
just a second, mate. I'm not doing it because I think it's good, or I'm not doing it like the reason I'm doing it is because, and it's probably a leak, something I need to work on, which is why I'm putting the hand in.
Yeah.
I'm doing it because I like to try and set up SPRs I'm comfortable with, rather than dealing with SPRs that I'm uncomfortable with in a certain situation. Hello, Betsy. I heard you. So that's why I did it. I'm not saying that's a good reason, Craig. I'm just explaining this is why I do it, because I don't want to end up out of position in a 4-bet pot with an SPR that is completely alien to me, viewed through the prism of this is a 4-bet pot. So I try and set up SPRs that I'm familiar with these parts of my range. That's why I go with the larger sizing.
This is what I'd do, you see, Reggie. In this 4-bet pot, what I can look at is I can look at post flop and say to myself, right, let's go for a small one, and then this means I can start doing 75% and overbet tactics post flop. I mean, in normal 4-bet pot, I have to c-bet 25% on flop, 25% on turn to be able to just do like a 75% river c-bet all in. But in this spot, I could use the same bet size and stuff, and then I start doing 33% c-bet sizes, overbetting turns, and still have like bets where I can do an overbet one street and an overbet the next.
Yeah, and that's I'm glad I put this hand in to discuss with you, because that's maybe more of the sort of stuff I should be doing. Because I think I'm kind of too like set in my ways where it's a 4-bet pot, so I need to bet small. Now, if you're saying that it's reasonable to use a normal 4-bet size here and then start using abnormal c-bet sizes, then that's something I've never even thought about. That I think is really fucking interesting. Really interesting.
Best off is you still have a wide range pre, because they've got to call more wider. When you go for this huge size here, they're going to be folding much more, and then it makes it much harder for you to basically do c-betting and stuff like that post up, because you've already got rid of their range.
Yeah, you've already really opened my eyes here, Craig, with the smaller bet and then using larger c-bets, because like c-betting large in 4-bet pots just isn't something I've done for an incredibly long time. But now you've opened my eyes, you've opened my mind to it. Like in deep stack spots, we can have more larger sizings because the SPR is different, and I'm glad I put this hand in now, because it's actually made me think.
It's actually another thing as well, Reggie. It also allows you to do more bluffing. You could 4 bets to £2 with something like an ace-4 suited, ace-queen, ace-jack suited, something which is really well at blocking the bluffs and stuff. And yeah, again, they'll have to call wide, and then you can start playing post-flop and stuff and start doing 1/3 bets, over bets, and stuff like that, sort of like you would do in a 3-bet situation. And yeah, so it's all about post-flop play when you think of it, Reggie.
No, I know you
want to keep ranges wider, and just think, instead of doing 25% c-bets, which is what you should do in a standard 4-bet situation, instead go for 33%, 75%, and some overbet tactics if you're deep.
No, I thank you for opening my mind there. As it happens, we just crushed the fucking flop, and I'm like, now what? We've got top set. He can't have anything. I guess we're checking here.
No. I'm betting
wow.
By a range.
Right, okie dokie.
People make the mistake, Reggie, all the time. They think they've got top set in 3-bet and 4-bet spot. But the truth is, your opponent should be bloody calling a lot of the stuff.
I think my go-to default logic with top set is we block way too much of their calling range, so therefore, just checking is like a.
He's not going to have any King X's, Reggie. I mean, he might have some Ace King and stuff, but I mean, well, that's 9 combos. He should be calling Ace Queen with 2 spades, and if he's got basically pocket 7s in his 3-bet, he should call that when you bet small on the flop. He should call pocket 4s, especially with a diamond. And, I mean, jacks he should call, queens he should call already. Ace-jack with 2 spades he should call.
Yeah, my thinking might be way out of date on this, Craig, so I'm more than happy to accept that. My default theory that goes through my head here is that A, the king gives us a lot of fold equity, and B, he can't have any kings at all, either, because we've got them all. So my default line here is usually check, maybe induce some light stabs from them, or let them catch up a little bit on turn. So that's my default theory.
I highly doubt they're going to stab Reggie, that's the truth.
Yeah, that's
in their eyes, if they're not going to call wide, there's a good chance they're not going to bet wide, because all they'll say is you've got Ace King, so they'll be so scared. So yeah, just bet your full range, nicely 1/3, and you're looking at 2 is either he's going to be another guy who overfolds far too much and stuff, in which case you can bluff bet anything against him, or he will be calling things like pocket 7s, pocket 4s, Ace Jack with 2 spades, Ace Queen with 2 spades, and all of that. Yeah.
So on the turn, I think we have to start betting now. And we do, and he just folds, and that's the end of the hand. But there, I put that one in because it's like a deep stack spot, what I've called 4-bet, which is pretty unusual. And I know that my game definitely needs work in those scenarios. So that's the end of the hands, Craig. Genuinely, thank you very much. I'll have a quick look at my database because you said you wanted to have a look. We haven't got loads of hands yet, but as you can see, I've been fucking ripping it a new ass. 19 bigs 100, 21 bigs all in adjusted, which I'm really pleased with. And I played my first 25NL session in fucking God knows how long of snap last night, and again we won at 9 bigs over just 1,000 hands. All in was way better. I think I'm going to crush these games, and I think even when I improve and continue improving, I think Christ knows. When I first came into these games, I was thinking maybe a 4 or 5 big blind 100 is the best I'm going to be able to do. Now I think 8, 10 big blind 100 is maybe going to be achievable because just pre-flop people look relatively good with their stats, but post flop, I've just finding the players are so weak and just like face up. I think my game is in the best shape it's ever been in. There's clearly still room for improvement, but yeah, I was thinking of like putting most of my volume in on Sky, but it's just hard to get volume playing. If I play more than 4 tables, it overwhelms me. It's too much. I can't play anywhere near as well as I want to. And if I play 2 tables of Snap, I can get more volume than I can get playing 4 tables of like regular tables on Sky.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm just gonna. It's going to encourage me to play more. It's just an easier grind. 2 tables of Snap is an easier grind than 4 tables of Sky. And on top of that, I think my win rate's going to be comparable. I think it's better for my hourly to do this, even though the games aren't as good as Sky. I think overall, in terms of my hourly rate, I think it's going to be much better. I think. So we'll have a look by my position, so you can have a few picks of that where we at position. So there's my ranges by position, Craig.
Big blind should be -20, but I mean there's not much I can say. It does say your hand sample's so small.
Yeah, it's tiny. I mean, my go-to default.
I mean, 3-bet, that is tiny.
Yep, I'm not much of a pre-flop warrior, Craig. I'll be honest with you.
3-bet wide.
That's not going to be my thing now, and it's not going to be my thing in the future. It's just not what I do. I much prefer playing pots with large SPRs post flop. I feel that's better for my personal game than a lot of players who like to 3-bet more. I love playing big SPR post flop. I'm much more comfortable doing that than playing.
I mean, if you see, Reggie, if you're moving up and stuff like that, you've got to.
Yeah, of course I have. I was having that chat with Matt in Discord last night. I absolutely agree with that.
I think mine. I'll have a look at mine. This is my 3-bet. Well, that's just small. Oh my. Well, maybe it's wrong, Reg. Because I've only got a 6, like. But,
Yeah, so going back to the blinds,
yeah.
If this is too big at the minute, my default has always been if I'm losing at 30 in the big blind, I'm happy with that, and losing at 15 in the small blind, I'm happy with that. This is obviously I'm overperforming in the small blind at the minute because that's not going to stay that number, not a chance. And I think that's due to sample size. I think this is also due to sample size. This will come down to around 30 at some
small
point.
Blind is good.
It is good, but it's a small sample, mate, isn't it? I think it's going to probably end up around 15. When I was playing years ago, I had like 2 million hands in my Holder Manager 2, and my win rates were like -15, -17, something like that. -17, -30-ish. So if I get anywhere near them, I think I'm going to be doing just fine. If we got the graph, we'll put some red lines up. That graph is sexy, by the way, Craig, isn't it? That is a sexy graph. We'll do the all-in EV just because it shows me favourably. At the minute, we're still running below EV. This is in big blinds because...
Can I see your showdown winnings?
Yes, I'm going to do that right now for you, sir. There's my showdown. So it's negative, but I think it's good still. I mean, it's better than a lot.
That's a good one. I mean, it's nice and level.
We're losing at less than 10 bigs 100 in red line, which is when I was chatting to Juice and the other week when we did the same as we've just done here. I said to him, I'm comfortable. If my red line is 10 big blind, -10 big blinds 100 or less, I'm happy with it. If it starts going down more than 10 big blinds 100, then I tend to do something about it because I think more than 10 bigs 100, it becomes hard to win. Losing 10 bigs 100 in red line, I think you can still have a very, very happy win rate, I think. So there we go, Craig. You've seen You've seen behind the mask. Thank you ever so much for doing this, mate. I've really, really appreciated it, and I know the boys in Discord especially will, because yeah, there's a lot of love for you out there, Craig. There really is, and I know people wanted to see this yesterday when I mentioned it, and we've delivered it very quickly for them. And if you're happy to do it again at some point in the future, I certainly will be too.
Right. But yeah, start giving people more ranges more often, Reggie.
Yeah, well, the bigger samples you get on people,
mean-
the more you can start trying to exploit. It's hard to try to exploit people when you don't have any hands on them. Once I start getting like 1,000+ hands on my opponents, that's when I can go into like this bit here.
It's best off starting off thinking, what is your range in these spots?
Yes.
That's a good way of starting off.
And that's how I've been trying to do it at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm keep clicking the wrong buttons, Craig, because I'm a fucking idiot.
Think about your range in the spots. I mean, when it comes to things like GTO and stuff like that, giving ranges of your opponent is not GTO play.
No, GTO is just more about being at equilibrium, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all about your own range. But as far as I'm going, I'm looking at myself and I'm going to go back to being an imbalanced range myself and just bet basically lots and stuff more of me based on my opponent's edge. And you should do more over betting, Reggie, because that is a spot where people overfold super wide.
Yeah, that's something I'm intending to work on, Craig, because I don't overbet enough, and I'm convinced of that. I just need to do a little bit of work on identifying good spots to do it.
Look at button play. You have a tactic whereby you see bet 100% of your range in position on the button on most boards, maybe not on a board like 987.
Yeah.
And you see bet 33% with your full range. Then when they call, what happens is you then start looking at big bets and over betting turns and stuff, depending on how strong your equity is. If you've got a flush or any better draw, maybe even a flush or two over cards and something like that, then yeah, you can overbet the turn for sure with them combos, because as I say, people will bloody overfold big style.
Yeah, something I've noticed I've done. Like my C-bet now overall, from all positions all combined, is 59%, and that's a big improvement for me, because when I was playing on the apps, my C-bet was down in somewhere in the mid-40s. So I'm already finding more C-bets more often, which I'm really pleased about. There's still plenty of work to be done, and I won't be watching any training content because I just fucking hate the way training content's delivered these days. But talking to people like yourself, other players who I respect, watching good players when they are streaming. These are all the things I do to try and improve. I couldn't do like you do. I couldn't sit and watch a video where someone pulls up infinite numbers of charts with all different colours in them with different frequencies. That I watched that for more than 5 minutes and I just want to fucking cut my wrists. So that's never going to be a thing for me. But I'm happy watching good players and talking to good players who are good at simplifying these complex strategies into something that I can try and adapt to and introduce it in my game, see what works for me, see what doesn't work for me, see what works in the pools. But I'm never going to say, right, let's have a fucking run it one subscription or an upswing, because I just don't like the way it's delivered. I get it's really good. I'm not for 1 second criticising the content. I just struggle to engage with it. I was watching last night after the end of my session, and Bowie Effect was doing a stream in DTO with somebody, and I couldn't watch more than 2 minutes. The guys were probably talking definitely talking an awful lot of sense, but I just got so bored so quickly, and it was like, no, this just isn't for me, and it never will be. But that doesn't mean you can't be a winning player, of course.
That's basically a high stakes thing, Reggie. Learning GTO and stuff of your own range, that's high stakes stuff.
Yeah, and I'm never going to be challenging the high stakes, so I'm not too fussed.
All it is at best, you just maybe want an idea of doing. If it were to study it, I'd probably study it for just one position, Reggie. Big blind. That's the spot, because, I mean, in there, you've got to, if you're going to have a good win rate in the big blind, Reggie, you need to know how to defend backdoor flushes and stuff like that.
I completely agree, Craig. I could not agree more, sir. And they're probably the spots where I do need to, I'm very good at identifying backdoor spots, and I'm very good at trying to apply some pressure with that, with some check raises, you know, and especially against people who I know are c-betting, like yourself. You know, they're going to be c-betting 33% with almost all of their range. I will very often find some check raises just with backdoor stuff, which is, I guess, what I was trying to do with that 9-8, but it was a totally wrong spot to do it. Remember the 9-8 hand rate is 7-7-4 and it had backdoor clubs. I was probably trying to do that there, but it was completely the wrong spot because his range was far stronger because he'd 3-bet from middle position. But I am out there looking for these things. I'm trying doing stuff. If stuff doesn't work, fine. I just look at it. I review the hand with somebody. I review it myself, and I'm definitely improving. I didn't think my game. I think my game's in pretty good shape compared to where it has been, and I didn't think I'd get it to this good shape so quickly, so I'm really pleased. But I also know there's shit tons of room for improvement, as there always is. But yeah, I'm very confident I'm going to have good win rates in these games, and if I continue improving, that's only going to at least maintain or maybe even get better. But yeah, thank you ever so much for this, Craig. I really, really have appreciated it. I hope you have a good day, sir, and I hope you have a good stream tonight because I'll be watching. I know Phil's 2-2,
Well,
so I'll probably be.
Who do you think will come further than?
Well, who knows? Because you're both good players. You both go deep in these tournaments a lot. I'm going to switch between watching the both of yous. I guess whoever gets a deeper run first is the person who'll get my late night viewing. If you get a deep run, then it'll be see you, Phil. I'm off to Craig. And if you're just arsing around in a fucking £20 mega stack at 11:30, it'll be like, right, see you, Craig. I'm off to watch Phil. So the competition for my viewing tonight is between, say, the start of your stream and 10 o'clock-ish, I'll flick between the two of yous. And then whoever's got the most exciting runs going, that's who's going to get my late night viewing. And I hope it's both of you because I think you both. I love watching. I love watching all the streamers. You know. By the way, I should say to you, your PayPal isn't set up properly. Because remember when I made that donation to you a couple of weeks back, and you said you'd give it to your local wildlife charity? PayPal actually sent that back to me last week, saying that you weren't set up.
Yeah, they did it because what it was, I put the A and the I the wrong way around. I spelled my name.
Right, I see, mate.
I've changed it now so it's correct.
Right, well, in that case then, mate, I'm going to send you a little donation for your wildlife fund tonight for you helping me out with this video today. So thank you very much. And good luck tonight, mate. You take care.
Okay, then.
All right, cheers, buddy. Take care. Bye-bye for now. So there we go. That's the end of Craig. I really hope you guys enjoyed that. You know, I mean, Craig's obviously given me some food for thought. That didn't agree with everything he said. He didn't agree with everything I said. That's why I choose people who are going to challenge me and my lines when I do videos. I don't want people who are just going to be saying, yeah, okay, Reg, that's boring and it doesn't help me, it doesn't learn anything. I don't learn anything, doesn't make for a good video. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have got this far, you haven't hit the like button yet, please do. And if you could leave a supportive comment, especially for Craig in the comments, that would be absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Have a fantastic Sunday. Hope you all do well, or at least play well. And yeah, take care. I think I might do a 10-0 snap video tomorrow morning live. So there might be another video coming out tomorrow. And then hopefully I can get another one of the Discord boys to join me later in the week for another hand review video. I'm looking at you, Loose Camel. Okay, take care, everybody. And bye-bye for now.